Welcome Wagon Echo 1, approaching disabled ship. Initiating communication sequence, Echo 1. Welcome Wagon has commenced. There's something happening here. Something's opening. It looks like there's some type of activity here. This may be some type of response, Echo 1.
We see it too. Can't identify it.
Hello and welcome back to Star Citizen. My name is Evenlease, and today on 10 Minutes More or Less Ship Review, right behind me, the ANVIL Ballista. Let's go ahead and take a look. The Centurion and Spartan paints won't work on the Ballista, and the Ballista is paintless. Alright, welcome back to an updated review of the ANVIL Ballista due to the recent missile changes for any ground vehicle that has an anti-air missile. Thank you What124 and WinRAR42 for joining me on today's review. This ground vehicle is $140 if you were to buy it on the Pledge Store, or if you buy it in-game at Area 18, it's $1,481,760 aUEC. Definitely a higher price tag for a ground vehicle, but a lot of these things got some updates and with how capable they are on the ground with their new missile changes, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. It does have a claim time of 6 minutes and 11 seconds, or an expedited claim time of 2 minutes and 3 seconds, which is definitely not terrible by any means. It allows you to get back out there with this thing if you get destroyed or you kind of lose your ground vehicle in only 2 minutes. Not bad at all. Now, the front gun on it does have a burst damage per second of 677. It is a remote turret with two size 2 Scorpius GT 215s, which is great. With the ballistic changes recently with engineering, that gun will output quite a bit of damage. Now, it won't sit there and take out, multiple fighters or anything, but it'll definitely scare them away from getting too close to you. But now the biggest changes is to your torpedoes on board, which will even more so scare any fighter from getting too close to you. You do have two size 7 Hellion 7-G torpedoes, which are infrared. Now, the -G is what's new with any ground-based anti-air missile, because that stands for ground, and what this means is that it has specific stats that are much different compared to their counterparts that come on ships. You also have 8 size 5 Scimitar 5-G EM missiles. Now let's talk about those changes. The size 7s now have a lock minimum distance of 50 meters and a lock maximum distance of 35,000 meters with a top speed of 514 meters per second. The size 5s have a lock minimum distance of 50 meters with a lock maximum of 30,000 meters at 560 meters per second. Now what that means is it doesn't matter pretty much how close a ship gets to you and your ground vehicle, you will be able to lock that size 7 or size 5 at any distance, allowing you to go ahead and be a very lethal combination of any sort of combined operation on the ground. Now, if the target is really good at using flares and you're going one-on-one, so it's just you and your ballista versus a fighter, there's a good chance that not a single one of your torpedoes will hit, because all it takes is 4+ flares each drop to lose the lock of any one of these things, which is honestly just too bad. But that's why this is better in a combined operation scenario. If you have other fighters in the air or other ground vehicles and you're able to kind of spread out the awareness of that pilot, you can definitely get them distracted enough that they're not focusing and you could take them out with no problem. Or if they get too close, they might not have time to react at all, not understanding that these things can now lock from spitting distance. That's insane and I love it. Now, this vehicle does have 1440 bubble shield, allowing it to take a couple hits from an energy weapon before it needs to really worry about getting out of there. And you do have 360 vehicle armor. Now, just talking about armor and shield on a ground vehicle, it's not really that useful, and neither is the health pool, because the second you're detected, it's as simple as just getting a bomb dropped on you and you're no more, or just taking a few direct hits to the turret and the vehicle becomes useless. Now, with these new changes to the missiles, that makes it a little bit more difficult, because they can't just close that minimal distance and be like, haha, you can't do nothing, because now you'll be able to shoot them from 50 meters or more away, which is just fantastic. Now, you do have 24,200 ship HP or vehicle HP. Again, the HP portion of it is kind of like try to remain undetected, which these ground vehicles are really good at. Staying undetected is kind of their strong strong suit. Even when they fire a torpedo, most of the time people aren't expecting it to come from the ground. So when that happens, it will take them a moment to recognize it and kind of find where you're at. With that, you are heavy. This vehicle is slower and it has an extremely hard time climbing like big mountains or hills or even the slightest hills at times. So don't try to move around too much. Just find a good spot, sit there and do what you need to do to protect the airspace. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this thing in the first person really quick just to show you. It does have these little pistons that will drop down and keep this thing more stable when you're out there fighting, but they don't currently operate. So that's pretty much everything on the exterior. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the interior. There's those new quote ground missiles, right? So we'll go ahead and take a look at the interior. The turret is right off to the right side when you get into the vehicle. So this is where you go ahead and do that. And then you'd have, of course, other buttons here to open up for component access here in the future, more on the right here. And then to your left, you do have 2 weapons lockers, allowing you to put 2 rifles away and storage access. So if you go ahead and go in there, you have 1500 micro SCU, which is fantastic. You also have a nice fire extinguisher. And then over here, you'll have more area for component access sooner or later. And then the driver's seat. This is where you'll operate that front gun on the Ballista. But let's go ahead and do a quick couple tests with this thing. Just check out a little bit of combat footage. Nothing too crazy, just a couple tests, just showing you the minimal lock distance and showing you just this thing firing. I mean, it does pretty good. The 2 size 7s can take out a hammerhead if they don't flare it off or take any of them out. But you're not going to really do too much if there's PDCs active on a ship and it takes out one of those, right? This is definitely more of an aerial denial machine that allows you to help protect an airspace and not just dominate it alone. And you do have a total of 4 MFDs up here. There would be a 5th one here, but it doesn't seem to be operating. And it looks pretty decent. It's definitely got that anvil texture and nature around it. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a little bit of combat footage and then I'll give you my score. I gotta lock you at 39 meters. This here was a simple missile test just to check distances. And so when the torpedo was going out, we're just trying to see how far what could get as it tracked and to see if it would remain tracking, which it did. And in the end, it took him out. The next test here was a EMP test. So we tested the EMP just to see how well that it took out the torpedo in transit towards the target, which right here you see the EMP blast go off and it took out the torpedo. So that was successful. At that point, I decided to launch every single size 5 I could, one at a time, starting with the size 7, of course, and then moving on to size 5s and watching them track just to kind of see how far they would track without him deploying flares. So just watching his maneuvers and seeing if he can evade, which he was able to evade for a lot of the time until the very end, which he got killed right there. So as you can see, the torpedoes were actually doing the job of tracking, no matter how far he was flying, which was really great. This was 2 torpedoes and pretty much every single size 5 thrown at the reclaimer to finally disable it.
Oh, I'm disabled.
Disabled but not dead.
I'm about to fall out of the sky, though.
Overall, the changes are fantastic to the ground vehicles. It makes anything with an AA missile very potent, very dangerous if you take it for, take advantage of it. Or if you just disregard it altogether, these things are now very lethal. You don't have a minimum lock distance of 5 kilometers now. It's only 50 meters. So with that in mind, this thing is fantastic. I think it's a great ground vehicle, a great thing to drop off at a site that you want to protect. And I'm going to give this thing a pretty high score because of it. Now, it doesn't have its components pass. It doesn't have a lot of things that it kind of needs. It does have storage and weapons lockers, but it does have the necessities to be what it's supposed to be. So with that, this thing is a 93 out of 100. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think of the new missile changes down below in the comments. Of course, you guys are all truly amazing. Make sure to enter into the giveaway for the new Argo Moth down in the video, a couple down below. I'll link it in the description. Make sure you enter. A couple weeks left on that. So enter away and good luck. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. And of course, I'll see you all in the next one. If you're building a new PC, go through longshipindustries.com, a veteran-owned mom-and-pop business that takes pride in every single build. He built my personal rig, which you can actually see featured on the website. The care, warranty, and customer support are top tier. Trust Longship Industries for your next build.